Global traffic. The traffic, the growth, remember I said the traffic is growing on an average at a 32% compounded annual growth rate. But if you look at the emerging economies, it's much higher than that. Middle East and Africa is compounded annual growth rate of 52%. The growth in the internet in terms of the traffic, not just the users, but the traffic is coming from this region. This is going to raise, and I'll get to this later, huge implications for the networks that we have here. In emerging countries, IP traffic is going to grow on average at a 41% compounded annual growth rate, and that's all of the emerging economies, right? So it's Latin America, Middle East, Africa, the less developed Asia-Pac, in other words, Asia-Pac minus Korea, Singapore, and Japan. In South Africa, we're looking at 46% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of the data traffic growth by 2015. Will the networks keep up? That's the question. Now, this is not just about fixed networks. It's about mobile networks as well. Globally, what we're seeing is an 83% compounded annual growth rate of the data traffic across the globe on mobile networks. In this region, Middle East and Africa, it's 129% per year. Right? Huge implications for spectrum. Huge implications for the types of spectrum, where's the spectrum, and the need for big, big blocks of spectrum. You can't have wireless broadband without broadbands. Big chunks. We'll talk about that. Other emerging economies, Latin America, 110% compounded annual growth rate. Central Eastern Europe, 102%, and Asia Pacific, 100%. What's really interesting, in my mind, is how the fixed internet is being replaced by the wireless internet. So, and that's not just mobile wireless. The biggest trend that we're seeing is the connection of the devices by Wi-Fi. And in fact, on a global basis, what we're seeing is, and then also in emerging markets, internet traffic, by 2015, more than half of the traffic will connect to a device by Wi-Fi, fixed Wi-Fi, fixed wireless Wi-Fi. 9% will be on mobile outdoor networks. Although I always tease people talking about mobile networks, I have no idea what that means. Right? I've never seen a mobile network. I'm mobile, the network is fixed. Right? Think about it. What that means is that we're going to, if you're going to have an LTE or a 3G, 4G network that's going to be outdoors for people moving, it's going to have a connection with fiber to that base station, or virtual fiber, very high capacity, microwave backhaul, but it's going to be fiber, because otherwise it will not scale. The network is not mobile. 65 to 80% of the use of a mobile device is indoors when people are sitting down and not moving. You don't need mobility for that. It's untethered, right? It's wireless. It's different kind of spectrum. That's why the Wi-Fi is going to be so important to your tablets, your iPads, or, the recently announced Amazon Fire. Think about the innovation in devices just within the last week of what's going to happen. Right? With the Amazon Fire, and with, who knows, tomorrow Apple's announcing its iPhone 5. The blogosphere is writing about what the iPhone 5 might be, and one of the things they're talking about is voice command. So I'm going to talk to my phone and it's going to do things for me. When we talk about the internet and broadband and applications on the demand side in emerging economies, South Africa, across Africa, one of the things that limits demand is the lack of local content, the lack of local language. right? It's really important. Why has the mobile phone been so powerful and we have 5 billion? Because people create their own content. They talk to each other. If I can now talk with voice to text and text to voice, if I can talk to my device and it understands me, all of a sudden I overcome literacy issues. If I then can do translation in there, and that's coming, if not this year, next year, the year after, all of a sudden every device is a natural language device. If that happens and we see a proliferation on the adoption rate, what does that do to networks? We haven't even factored that into our projections. Hugely powerful. It's empowering.